SuperArt ready.
All right, everybody, what's good? I know it's been a minute since I dropped the last video, but we are done with the Devil May Cry tribute art I worked on recently, and I was able to capture some footage off the PS5. I did a Bloody Palace run, which, you know, I've completed this game a few years back when it dropped, and I didn't really touch any post-game content other than just going through some of the levels again. And I don't really think I touched Bloody Palace that much in this version. I played the hell out of it in Devil May Cry 4 and 3 and even all the other Devil May Cry games. You know, I've played it. I've always done like the Dante Must Die mode and everything like that. I want to say Devil May Cry 4 was probably the only one where I completed every difficulty level to include Bloody Palace. But yeah, I went back to revisit this game for this video, and I wanted to talk about one of my favorite game characters. First Devil May Cry actually came out a day before my birthday back in 2001, for my 17th birthday. So yeah, this game series has always kind of been special and had a special place in my heart, for one, releasing you know, right on my birthday and just being a really dope game. Always has been. We know part 2 probably wasn't the best game, but it, you know, it had its things about it that I didn't really mind. I wanted to go with like a cool kind of picture for Dante to draw. I had drew him actually about 2 years ago. As I was leaving Qatar, I was working on a picture of Dante, and I want to say I finished that one on a trip to Japan that same year in 2023 when I was in Okinawa for a couple weeks. And I actually, you'll see a snippet of that artwork in this video because I do use the same background that I drew for that one, which was Dante's like demon mode. His double trigger, full powered double trigger. I drew that, and I kind of wanted to use it again. This time I went with a kind of downward shot, and I was gonna show his eyes, but then I decided not to. A challenging pose to draw, even with a reference. It was actually just from the end game, basically. That I found. Same with the other two that I added later. I added 2 semi-action shots on the side, just sort of like comic book style, just to give the image a little bit more life, which also why it took so long. So at right now the video stands is like 36 minutes and some change, and you know, I normally want to keep these a lot lower than that, so I actually cut out the pre-drawing stage 2 of like the sketches and stuff like that, like you've seen in some of my other videos. But I do realize going forward I probably will just keep it to starting at just the black lines, just to save myself time and be able to sort of just really take my time and not have to, I don't want to say feel rushed, but just show the part of the process, depending on what it is. If I feel like it's gonna be a large photo and like with a lot of elements, I may just skip the sketches and the pre kind of under sketch and just go straight for like the black lines. But for the most part, like I say, I do like to show like the full process. But if I'm gonna be doing multiple characters or things with multiple images in them, I think for the sake of the video, to speed it up a little bit, I'll just do just like starting at the black lines and then the coloring and stuff like that. Yeah, I had fun revisiting the game again. I've played all the Devil May Cry games. I want to say back in 2006, they had the collection on PS2. and that was when I actually got to catch up on Devil May Cry 2 and 3. So I had those versions, and then obviously Devil May Cry 4 dropped in 2008. And I remember I rushed through Metroid Prime 3 Echoes because I knew I had just moved to California, and I was just, doing my thing, getting adjusted to the area, getting adjusted to the base I was stationed at. And I had a bunch of games on backlog, so I was playing, I was playing my Wii, and I was like, oh, I need to finish Metroid. And at first I was just taking my time normally with it. And then I remember like, oh man, Devil May Cry is dropping. And I think it was dropping like that January or February of like 08. So I'm like, this like November, December, I'm like, oh no, I need to finish some of these games so I can go in on Devil May Cry. Because I think at the time I was still just running through Devil May Cry 3 on like some of the higher difficulties and like playing Bloody Palace and stuff like that. And just messing around with like all the weapons, especially like Nevin. I really love that weapon. I was so glad they put it in Marvel 3 when he was a character. He fit that game so well too. We'll talk about Marvel 3 Dante because he was a beast. Yeah, and I remember like, when 4 dropped, I was playing that game every day, like putting in mad hours, just playing it, going through all the levels. There wasn't much out at the time that I had wanted to play anyway, so it was literally work, go to the gym, come home, play that. Yeah, I was just locked in with Devil May Cry 4 pretty heavy. I initially was a little turned off by, Nero and things like that at first, but I grew to like his playstyle and actually learned some of the kind of the deeper mechanics of him revving up his gun or his sword, the Red Queen, which I thought was a cool mechanic. And then getting to play Dante in the later half of the game. Yeah, it was in retrospect, at least to me, I had a lot of fun with that version of the game. I liked 5 too. I don't know. I think like maybe at the time there was so much other stuff coming out that I was playing that I didn't really go back and revisit it. Because I don't even think I beat it on like Son of Sparta difficulty or anything like that. Like I just kind of went through it and just was done with it. I will say I think like the environments in this version of Devil May Cry 5 weren't really as like dope as some of like the past games. It felt very, I don't want to say dry or bland, but just not like, I miss sort of the personality that some of the areas had in some of the prior games. It felt a bit bland in this version. It felt like what Devil May Cry 2's backgrounds and stuff probably should have been, because it took place similar. Like the city's like kind of jacked up, and I know for that game they didn't do a lot with it just because of graphical limitations, but also they rushed the hell out of Devil May Cry 2. Like could have been a way better game, but they made up for it with 3 like tenfold. Like we all know that. But yeah, I've been revisiting this game and playing it, and just like there is combat wise, it's a good game underneath the hood. Like, and that's always been the case with Devil May Cry. Like the action is always going to be there. I really enjoyed this run on Bloody Palace. I thought it was a good run. I had recorded a prior run where I got to like, I think level 30, 31 and ended up dying. And this run, actually, I got up to level 50 and I died on the boss there. So I only completed 49 levels, but I've made it to level 50 and died there. Fighting the giant demon grasshopper things or whatever, they can be a bit tough. Fighting 3 of them too was just like, okay, I gotta try to pull out all my tricks. I definitely do want to explore some better combinations and kind of get my combos with Dante down in this one. I also was messing around with Royal Guard in this one. The timing's a little bit more strict than I think it was in this version than it was in Devil May Cry 4. Because I was a Royal Guard menace. Devil May Cry 3 also. There were a couple bosses I could just get all the perfect parries and stuff off on. This one I gotta get the timing down a little bit more, because he got some cool stuff with regard that I like messing with. But for this run, I usually just switch back between Trickster and Swordmaster. I don't really use Gunslinger too much. But yeah, as far as him being in fighting games, like when he got announced for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and then initially Ultimate, where Virgil was also announced, it was like perfect. And he was so good. Like, I didn't probably use him to his potential, but seeing how other people played him, I was like, man, this dude's, he was, you know, he's an execution beast in that game. He has so many moves and things. So it was just like, I had some decent corner combos, but like trying to like really style with him in matches, like I wasn't good at doing it there. I could definitely do it in the lab, but like in the matches itself, like I would get cooked, because the meta of Marvel 3 kind of evolved, and like I didn't really keep up with it in that regard. But he was nice in that game, and he had some crazy stuff, man. Like they gave him all the dope gauntlets, the Beowulf, yeah, Agni and Rudra. Like he had all the weapons, man. He even had Kalina An from Mary, right? Like that was dope. Like he had all his moves. Like everything was just like, you need more perfect translation of Dante in a fighting game, and that was like the perfect game for him. And I mean, it's Capcom, so you know they published this game too, so it's just like they definitely show love to one of their non-fighting game characters, you know, and they do that all the time in the Marvel games. I think they've done a good job even translating like characters, like obscure characters like Sun in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, or like even Jill, you know, the moves she could do with calling out the zombies and stuff like that, especially now like with the Marvel collection and how like she's evolved over time, with some of the zombie setups and things like that you've seen guys like Justin Long kind of like do. Capcom definitely know how to show love to their characters. You know, when they're in the right headspace and they, you know, put them in like a fighting game or something like that. Dante obviously wouldn't work in like a proper Street Fighter game because he's just too crazy, like just the things he could do. And Devil May Cry is an action game that does focus a lot on stylish combos, so him fitting into Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was like, to me, he would have seemed like the blueprint for that whole game, because it's like, if we're gonna make a new combo engine or battle engine for this game, he has to be a character that shines in that, because the game he comes from, he's kind of built like that. Like he can combo his butt off in these games. Like if you watch some of these Japanese players do these like Devil May Cry like combo videos, like for the action game, the stuff they do and how they track and how they follow up the combos and use like every weapon to like the maximum capacity, it's insane. Like I remember when I first started kind of watching that stuff, when they released Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, where you could play as Virgil and Mary and Trish. Like the stuff I was seeing these dudes do back then was just crazy. I was like, I didn't even know you could really combo like that and be like that dope and that accurate. So to see some of that get translated into Marvel vs. Capcom 3, to me was like really cool, and just hats off to Capcom for even like doing that. Like I really hope we get a Devil May Cry 6 pretty soon. I know Dante and Virgil got kind of trapped in hell, I guess, in the ending in DMC 5. But I mean, even if they continue with Nero, like that'd be cool. Now that he got his arm back and stuff too, right? Like he doesn't have the like the mechanical Devil Bringer arms anymore. Like he's got like his actual like hand again. The drawing was really fun, and I wanted to do something cool. Just kind of showing different kind of layers of Dante. And you know, a lot of people like Devil May Cry 3 Dante because that was the game that kind of put the series back in good graces of the fans after, you know, kind of part 2 being a little bit abysmal. And just Dante's kind of character portrayal in that version. He was a little more serious. He didn't really like crack a lot of jokes. Like he wasn't like how he was in like Devil May Cry 1. And Devil May Cry 3, you know, he started him off kind of showing him be a young devil hunter when he's, you know, still a young man, not this grizzled vet. I like Devil May Cry 5 Dante, like this very grizzled, like Dante looked like he tired of fighting in this game. Like, you know, you see the beginning of the game and he kind of get cooked, and you know, he's knocked out for like a month while they're trying to figure out what's going on with, you know, Urizen and all this stuff like that. You know, he's like, how long have I been out? And, you know, I think they said like a month or something. And then actually, if you look at his hair from the first cutscene, it's a little bit shorter to when he wakes up and it's longer. Like just the level of detail they did for that, well, I think was pretty cool. I think all the characters got some good character development. V actually, who was like the third kind of character, who's like a part of Virgil, like his good essence, I guess, good half, was like super cheap. Like his levels, as much as I didn't really care for the design of V, his playstyle was really dope though. Like he was super cheap, and like I got S rank on like all of his missions because it's just like, how do you not like comboing, you know, the Griffin and the Panther? It's just like, bro, he was so good. So I may play a round of Bloody Palace with him after I finish it with Dante. I definitely want my run back because I'm like, man, I got to like 50 levels. I only had another 50 to go. So I'm thinking I can get up there. They do start piling on the difficulty. Like even like these guys right here, like these berserk dudes, like they get kind of crazy. I started using the I don't know the name of the motorcycle weapons he's using, but like I realized it has like kind of an auto parry. If you time the swing to when the boss is gonna hit you, and you can kind of parry them. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I will say recently, not to be a downer, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the anime that recently dropped on Netflix. Visually, I think it looks cool, but I think there was just some things with the characters and their portrayal. And I'm not alone in this, because as I was watching the show, in my head, I'm like, I'm not sure why they have Mary like cussing like so much, like, and being this kind of character. Like, she was portrayed a lot different when she was introduced in Devil May Cry 3, and subsequently 4 and 5, and how she's portrayed. I'm just like, they were pushing these weird, just overly like boss babe kind of stuff, and I'm just like, she can do that, but like, don't make Dante look like a chump on his own show. Like, if you watch that show, anytime Dante was like talking to her and he just like, he drops his guard and then he just gets shot with some bullet that like, because it's got demon stuff in it, that it can hurt him. But then like scenes prior, or even scenes after that, when he's dealing with actual demons, he's like dodging everything, being a badass like he is in the game. And I'm just like, we don't have to diminish Dante's star just to make Mary, Lady aka Mary, be like the center of attention. Because I'm like, he's the main character, not her. She's a supporting character, and like everything about that show seemed to just be more giving her more character motivations versus Dante figuring out his lineage and things like that. Like, the intro is good. Like, the intro and what they did with the intro, I thought was really good. Just the stylization, the song. Like, I grew up when Limp Bizkit was a big thing. I remember when Undertaker used to come out to that song, so it's just like, I'm having flashbacks of like Undertaker rolling down WrestleMania 17 that year with that, the Limp Bizkit video for Rolling when that came out. Like, he had a, you know, Limp Bizkit was, you know, popping for a bit back in the 2000s like that, you know. So like revisiting that and it matching up with like Devil May Cry, I'm like, that's a good marriage right there, you know. But yeah, I think the show just could have been a lot better. I feel like the setting and how they introduce characters could have been done a lot better. I'll use the example of Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. When we first get D's introduction, we see him obviously go to the church and talk to the guy about, hey, can you get my daughter back? And he's like, hey, I can't make any promises. She might already be turned. We don't see a lot of his personality or a lot of like who he really is and how strong he really is. Not until the scene where the Marcus brothers clear out the like grave site of all the like zombies and stuff that were like around. And then you see the leader, he's like, I hear something. And he's like aiming his little crossbow on his wrist. And he's like, yeah, it's coming this way. And then he shoots it. And then you see the arrow follow. And then D catches it. And then you get that. If you've watched Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, you know the scene I'm talking about. It's goated. Like, it's one of the best intros of a character, of a main character. And it has all the aura and main character energy that you need when you want to introduce a character and show how badass he is, right? He perks up on the horse and he catches it. And then he tells him his name is D, and then he snaps the thing and then he just runs off or whatever, right? Like, that compared to how they introduced Virgil at the end of the anime is just like, ooh, that was kind of whack. Like, it was kind of dry and just felt like flat. Like, Virgil's a badass. Like the fan base that dude has, like, especially when they start letting him be playable. Like, the original Devil May Cry 3, I don't think you can play. You have to get Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition where you actually get to play Virgil, right? Like, and then the same with Devil May Cry 4, and then subsequently 5 did the same thing. And the Ninja Theory version that nobody likes. I like the Ninja Theory version. Combat wise, it was fun. But like, not having like a more badass intro for like Virgil and Dante, like, come on, like, these characters are like too iconic to. I feel like Capcom should have been a little more involved in this. Maybe getting Hideki Kamiya to be just like, this is how we need to do this. Like, y'all can't have my character out here looking like a chump, like, even when he's introed and he's chasing that lady who's got the baby that's like a demon, and they go down the alley, and minutes later he just gets a thing thrown at him, and he's just like, how is he getting hit in the head with a purse by a lady who's just kind of angry or whatever, right? So to jump off this little giant grasshopper thing right here that I'm fighting, level 50, I think it's 3 of those, and they get to swiping and swinging, and that's kind of what caught me. But yeah, I think the show is just the stylization and sort of how they represent the characters, I think, was just kind of whack, man. Even just like the settings of like the city, like, I feel like it should have been more of a like dystopian kind of vibe of the city. Like, Dante's in a part of the city where it's like they got humans kind of there keeping away from the part of the city that's more infested with demons, and he goes out and does his thing as a devil hunter, on the outskirts maybe of the more infected parts of the city where the demons are kind of overrun, and he just kind of goes in and does his thing when he needs to. I feel like the city and the environments needed a little more aura also. Again, like, going back to a show or an anime film like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, when they, all the settings of like where the action happens, like when they go to Barbaroi and that city is like, they introduce that city and it's like little demons everywhere and they're crawling out, they're popping their head out when Guy walks through. Like, that's the kind of vibe I wanted from the city that they were in. They got this little cop crew that, Mary's on, and all those people die, and they only really serve to kind of give her character motivation to, I don't know, cuss more and be like, cuss like a female sailor damn near, and just, I don't know. But I thought the show looked fine. The action scenes were dope. The action scenes they did pretty good. I know a lot of people complained about the CGI. I didn't have too much of an issue with it. I can see where they could have kind of beefed it up a little bit more, but I think also they maybe didn't want to try to overdo it to the point where it didn't look like, even though you can tell it's CGI, I don't think they wanted it to look too overdone to where it wouldn't match the sort of aesthetic of the characters themselves. And I think Ji-young Choi did a really good job with like the character sheets, and like her art style is pretty dope. I would have loved if they actually used like her art style for the actual like character designs, but I think given what she's did with the characters, they look good. I think I thought they looked fine. Like I said, I wish more just the representation of them. Dante being Dante, and Mary is tough, but she didn't need to be portrayed the way she was, where she just kind of comes off kind of obnoxious, and like I am woman, hear me war, but in like an annoying way, not in like a Wonder Woman way like the first movie, right? Like that No Man's Land scene where she runs through the field and it's just like that, like that's dope. Like, and that's where I think the show kind of fell short. It's just like kind of giving these characters these dope badass moments to like show their real personality. That's like, you already had the blueprint because you got 5 games, 6 if you want to count the one from Ninja Theory, to like go off of. And I feel like they went in the opposite direction with that. And then the same with the settings. I think again, the city should have been run down kind of like it is in Devil May Cry 5 with, you know, the Clyphoid pods and stuff all over the place that Urizen put, you know, as he's absorbing, you know, stuff from the earth or whatever like that, whatever Triamite fruit type shit he was doing. Or like even similar to like how it was kind of janky and beat up in Devil May Cry 2 and 3, like stuff like that, you know. Just settings matter in anime as much as we talk a lot about characters. The settings of places matter, right? Like take Naruto, right? All of the villages had aura, like the Sand Village, Konoha, you know, the Sound Village, all these things, they had lore. And it's like when they introduce or even show them from like maybe like a memory from the past, and they show you these things, like they have personality and aura. And I think a show like Devil May Cry benefits from that because the environments are just as big a part of developing the characters as the characters' own motivations for going after whatever demon, you know. All that's important too, but like the backgrounds and stuff kind of need that, you know what I'm saying? Like take for instance Devil May Cry 3 when he fights Virgil at, I want to say it's stage 10 or 11 because it's at like the halfway point of the game, right, where we get the Dante's Awakening moment, which was the subtitle of the game, right, where he learns to activate his double trigger. That scene, they're on that tower and it's raining, and it's like that is simple, but it's very effective, right? Because you get the scene of these brothers clashing and learning more about each other and their own personal motivations, and then you get the, you know, him getting stabbed with his own sword, the rain, and then the eventual awakening. And just like, if that setting had been something different and less dope or cool, it wouldn't have really been effective. So like the setting is equally as important to these character moments where they're gonna have that awakening or have that, you know, part where you really, okay, I want to see where this character goes in their story and in their journey. Like those things matter. Like Goku on Planet Namek when he goes Super Saiyan, you know what I'm saying? Or even at the part where once he goes Super Saiyan and he's beating Frieza, now Frieza blows up the planet or causes it to where it's going to start blowing up, and then how that changes the vibe and adds more intensity to the fight, more stakes. Okay, I gotta hurry up because I only got 5 minutes. Now we know in Dragon Ball time 5 minutes was like 20 episodes, you know, right? But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, environments and scenes and how you set those things up really help drive character development. And I just feel like the show's like environments were just kind of like whatever. Like, the city had normal people just sitting there, just like going on about their day. I go back to the scene where they were fighting on the freeway and then like crashed and stuff, and then Dante was in the back. But it was just like, I feel like the city again should have felt more like how it is in this game. It should have looked dark. It should have looked terrible, like a place where, yeah, if I go here, my life is on the line and I really got to be on point when I'm out here hunting demons or whatever. For like Mary's crew and Dante in general, like it should feel like threatening. That's what I wanted more from the environments. They feel more threatening and like dark. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because, you know, I feel like Castlevania did that, you know, with the environments and things like that. Like when Alucard first gets introduced, or, you know, Dralta, or even Richter when he has his awakening and he unlocks more of his magic and stuff. Like, it was just done really well. And I think they kind of dropped the ball in this game, or in the anime per se. But the video is almost over. Got about 6 minutes. We're getting close to the end. If you were paying attention as I was rambling, you did see my old Dante drawing I did from a few years ago, and me kind of pull the background in and use it for this one. And then I'm just going through and adding in the colors. I did 2 different shadow layers. So I did like shadows, and then I did kind of like really like deep shadows on some of it, just to kind of like test out some stuff, some ideas I'm gonna probably use going forward. But I'm gonna get out of here because I gotta work on the next video. I gotta keep them coming, you know. I believe the next one will be Stellar Blade, and we're gonna use, well, it's gonna be Stellar Blade, but I'm drawing 2B and Eve. We know they did a collab with Yoko Taro did the collab with Shift Up to put 2B's outfit in Stellar Blade, so you can dress Eve up as 2B. So I'm gonna get some footage from that, and that'll be the next video. I don't know when it's gonna drop, but I'm not gonna rush these out. I'm gonna take my time with it, and have fun with it. But I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out.